Early forecasts from the U.S. government suggests that the U.S. trade deficit for trading goods in 2021 reached a record $1.08 trillion, the highest level on record and the first time the trade deficit has exceeded $1 trillion. But what is the trade deficit, and should we be concerned about it? Hey everyone, I'm Noah Zerbe. I'm a professor of global politics at California State Polytechnic University Humboldt. In this video series, I try to explain the concepts and theories behind current events, all in 2 minutes or less. In the simplest terms, a trade deficit occurs when the total value of goods imported into a country exceeds the value of goods exported from that country. In 2020, for example, the United States imported about $2.3 trillion worth of goods and exported about $1.4 trillion worth of goods, giving it a trade deficit of about $900 billion. When we include trade and services, in which the United States generally runs a trade surplus, the total trade deficit narrows slightly to about $700 billion. Now, to be clear, this is nothing particularly new. The United States has run trade deficits nearly every year since the end of World War II. This reflects in part the relatively high standard of living in the United States and the fact that American consumers have relatively high wages compared to others around the world, permitting them to consume more goods. The relative availability of consumer credit also fuels higher levels of consumption and thus the trade deficit. There are a couple of factors that can also influence the trade deficit. Trade policies like tariffs, subsidies, and other government actions can impact relative prices and thus impact the balance of trade. The use of the US dollar as the world's reserve currency also increases the US trade deficit. Because the dollar is not just the world's primary medium of exchange, but is also the primary reserve currency, demand for US dollars is higher than it would otherwise be. This means that the US's trading partners might be willing to sell consumer goods in the US and hold on to the dollars they earn, often in the form of US Treasury bills. In doing so, trading partners effectively subsidize American consumption. But is this a problem? Should we be worried about the US trade deficit? The current projection is that the record 2021 trade deficit is likely an anomaly, reflecting a relatively quick recovery of the US economy after the COVID-induced recession, and by comparison, the relatively slower economic recovery of our trading partners. The government forecasts suggest that the US trade deficit for 2022 should shrink back to pre-COVID but still massive levels. It's important to note that the trade deficit is not like household consumer debt. The position of the US economy, and in particular the role of the United States as the global consumer of last resort, as well as the use of the US dollar as the world's reserve currency, all mean that the US can maintain a higher trade deficit than many other countries can without necessarily having a negative impact on the economy. But there is likely a level above which a trade deficit is no longer sustainable, even for the United States. Do you think we're at that level? Let me know in the comments section below. That's it for now. If you found this helpful, click the thumbs up button and subscribe to catch future explainers when they're released. Please leave any questions you have about this video in the comments section below, or if you have any suggestions for future explainer topics you'd like to see me explore, leave those as well. If you're interested in learning more, I'll link to a longer video on trade deficits below, but that's it for now. Thanks everyone. Have a good day. Bye.